Evan Wren, and this is the Capital Farm Credit Wednesday Night Podcast, our weekly look at the area athletic scene, what happened last week, and what's going on this week. I'm here with my partner via Zoom, Dan Youngblood. And Dan, this week, the big news, of course, is Russell Lucas, Hamlin head football coach, athletic director, has taken the gig at Sweetwater. That's huge. It's one of our most successful small school coaches going to one of our most storied programs. It's enormous.
Yeah, this is enormous news. This was a really big story in our area. You're talking about one of, like you said, one of the most successful coaches in the big country going to a program that has had more success than most programs in the state of Texas. So really exciting time, I think, for both Coach Lucas and for Sweetwater. I think this is a really good mix, and we're going to talk more about this. We're going to talk a lot about Coach Lucas and this move before we get into our conversation with him. But before we do both of those, let's go ahead and thank our primary sponsor, and that is, of course, Capital Farm Credit, with offices all over Texas, including Stamford and Abilene. Buy your own slice of Texas with Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. And with that, let's talk a little bit about this move. This is, like I said, big news, obviously. I mean, just on the surface, this seems like a really good move both ways. I think this is a really great opportunity for Coach Lucas to go and kind of take his philosophies to a little bit larger level. And then for Sweetwater, I think this is about as good a hire as you could possibly make. We've talked to Coach Lucas and about Coach Lucas a whole lot over the years. And this is a guy that, in my opinion, he does it right. This is a guy that runs his program in a way he loves his kids. He pushes them hard. He coaches them hard. And he has high expectations for them. I expect him to take all of those things from Hamlin to Sweetwater, and I expect that to produce similar success. So this is going to be exciting. I know it's tough for Hamlin, just given what he's done in that community and for that program. But at the same time, I mean, if you're Hamlin, you got 13 years out of that man, and that's 13 years in this business is a long time. So yeah, I'm excited to see what Coach Lucas can do at Sweetwater. I think it's going to be a lot of fun watching what he does there. And I have confidence that Hamlin will find a good coach behind him. Although I don't know if I'd want that gig. That's a tough act to follow. But I'm hoping for the best for both programs.
His style seems to fit right in with what Sweetwater does. And he does like to throw the football and spread the field a little bit, and that's what Sweetwater's been doing for years now. It's not like he's bringing the wishbone to Sweetwater, although Sweetwater's run the wishbone before. But I just think it's a good fit. And then defensively, I think it's a good fit as well. He likes to go with typically a 3-4 and take advantage of quickness. And he's going to have plenty. He's having an abundance of quickness at Sweetwater. I think just in terms of style, it's a good fit.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and that's something I'm excited to see as well. Sweetwater has a little bit of size, but generally speaking, even on the lines, they're smaller and quicker. And I think that Coach Lucas's experience with that at a smaller level school, I think, will give him a leg up. And I'm really eager to see how that defense translates from a 2A high school to a 4A high school. I think that's going to be interesting because their defenses were really, really good at Hamlin, and that's been the one area where even during this most recent successful run that Sweetwater's had, that's kind of the one area where they struggled a little bit. So I'm excited to see if he can, because I think he'll have offensive success. I think that's pretty much a given the talent that Sweetwater has in his history. The big question for me is, can he bring that defensive success from Hamlin to Sweetwater? And if he can, watch out, because Sweetwater was pretty darn close to being pretty darn good this past year. If they get that defense rolling along with that offense, watch out. They could be back like they were in 2016 competing for a state championship.
Now, I know that granted it was at the 2A level, but I've seen Coach Lucas have successful defenses with defensive fronts that, they averaged about, be 180. They were tiny, really, even for that level. But what he did, for the 180 pounds across the board, this is before Austin Lozano, of course, got there. But what he did was get the kids to play hard. And play aggressive. And I think that's what you're going to see out of Sweetwater defenses upcoming. You're going to see, aggressive defenses, quick, gang tackling. That's really Russell Lucas football.
Yeah, and that's going to be really fun to watch. And this has really been, for a non-realignment offseason, we've had a lot of movement on the coaching front. We've lost a couple of iconic coaches out of the area, and then we've had a couple others really successful coaches move within schools from the area. You had Britt Hart before the Coach Lucas news going from Merkel to Stanford, which that'll also be interesting to watch. And we've had several others that have kind of moved a little bit. So we're going to have some new faces and some familiar faces in different places, but it's going to be kind of interesting as we get looking toward the 2021 season here pretty quick. There's going to be some a little bit more movement than you typically see in a non-realignment year. So it's been interesting.
It's going to be interesting to see Russell Lucas coaching at the bowl. You
Yeah.
know, it,
And wearing red.
fabulous. It is a fabulous facility. It's probably
Yeah.
the best facility to play football in Central Texas.
Yeah.
That
Let's
and Gordon Wood Stadium out at Brownwood. Those are the top two venues among our area teams.
Yeah, I mean the Mustang Bowl in Sweetwater is maybe my favorite stadium statewide. I love that place. And it's going to be really fun for him to get to coach his home games there. And like I said, it's going to be it's going to be strange and take a little getting used to start seeing Coach Russell Lucas in red, given that that's kind of been the color of his primary rivals the past several years. But I think that he'll take to it well, and I think that Sweetwater fans, it won't take long for them to take to him either. I think he's a guy that really ingratiates himself to the community he's in, makes himself a part of it, not just with that football program. And that's one thing I've always respected about him is that I think he brings a great philosophy. He does things, I mean, he does it for the right reasons, the right way. And I'm excited for Sweetwater and just to kind of see how that one plays out. I'm expecting a lot of success there.
You know, one other thing that I think is important, the Sweetwater fan base is pretty knowledgeable and they pay pretty close attention to their personnel, and they have shown a knowledge of what the coach is up against. They showed a lot of patience with Coach McGehee when he was operating with a very young football team. And I think that the Sweetwater fan base will give Coach Lucas time to build his foundation.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and that's something. The one good thing is I don't think he's gonna have to do a whole lot of building. I think that they got through that pretty tough rebuild. Coach McGehee went through, I think, the hard work and built laid a lot of that foundation for Coach Lucas. But I do agree with you that I think that this is a fan base that does understand, has a pretty fair idea of kind of what they're looking at year to year. So I think you're right. I think they will. I think their expectations will be high given Coach Lucas's history and given the expectations that he himself will bring to the job. But I also think that they're not going to be one of those programs that's going to be, putting signs in his front yard if he runs into a little bit more trouble than they expect in his first year. But this is gonna be fun to watch. Like I've said about 10 times already. I think that this is. I was really excited when I heard the news that Coach Lucas would be taking over that program, because that's a program that I've always, in my time here, I've really enjoyed following. Just given the changes that program has made over the last, 10, almost 15 years. From a wishbone team to an I team to a spread team, and having success across that way. It's been really fun to watch. And then you taking everything else, the tradition with that program, the stadium. There's just so much about that program that kind of makes it one of those that in the big country that's one of the programs that people talk about, and it's going to be fun with Coach Lucas taking that over and getting to put his fingerprints on it.
What if the program had gone the other direction though? What if they had gone from spread to wishbone? Would you have said that was fun to watch? Would you have said that was fun to watch?
Sure, I like I mean, just the varying styles, and here's the thing: if you can have success across that transition,
yeah.
The one thing I will say though is I don't think their fans would be so patient with that with the reversal of that. I think that there was some modernization that took place there.
Hey, Sweetwater won with the wishbone for years. Don't give me that. There's a lot of option people. There's a lot of option people in that town. Don't give me that.
I think if you tried to make that transition back, now that they've had the success they have with the spread back, I think it would be personnel wise, it would be interesting to watch, and B, I think that'd be a harder sell at this stage, just because if you look at what they've done with the personnel that they've had. I think that this is an offensive philosophy that has fit them really well, has fit their talent really well, and I think Coach Lucas will be the third coach in a row that has a lot of success with it.
Oh, I think he's a good fit for them. He is absolutely a good fit style wise, and regardless of what town you're at, what program you're at these days, I think you have less margin for error when you are a ground and pound kind of coach. I think people just have less patience. I wish they had more patience for that style of offense, but that's just the way it is.
I think the big thing is if you win, fans will they'll rally around whatever it is you're running.
Sure.
But I do agree with you though that some offenses in this day and age are harder sells than others, and there are offenses for whatever reason the spread right now people are more content to lose that way than they would be in maybe in old time running
Yes.
offense.
Yes.
But I in this case, I agree with you. I think you made a good point that this is a really good fit. When you look at what Coach Mobley did and then Coach McGehee did, I think that Lucas fits really well in that transition. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
No, I think the Sweetwater fans had a lot of patience for Coach Mobley also.
Yes.
Those first 2 or 3 years were a bit of a struggle as he built his program, and they gave him time, and then boom, here came the Sweetwater Mustangs. Went to the state championship game.
Yeah, doing mistakes. And I think we've talked about it in the past, and this is kind of just I think that Coach Slaughter helped modernize that program as well for the 4 years he was there, taking them from the wishbone to the eye. And I think that laid the foundation for Coach Mobley to take it to the next step into like what they've been running the past 8 or 9 years with that spread. But Coach Lucas is inheriting a healthy program. I think that's a big part of it. He's not going to have to do a whole lot of rebuilding. He's not going to have to build this program like he has some in the past. I think he's going to take over a program that's ready made for him to go and compete, and that's part of what I think is going to be really exciting.
And with that, it's just about time to bring on Coach Lucas. But before we do that, we want to thank our sponsors. First and foremost, our primary sponsor, Capital Farm Credit, who brings you these Wednesday night podcasts free of charge throughout the school year. Also, for the Love of the Game Broadcasting and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of K-Legs 93.5 FM out of Breckenridge, KATX 97.7 FM out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Breck, and KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That's for the Love of the Game Broadcasting. Also, Phil Hill of the Abilene Realtors Group, big supporter of local athletics. If you're in the market, give Phil a call at 325-669-5153 or go to his website at philhillproperties.com. And finally, Jack's Road Boring out of Snyder. Dirt sales and services with experience and service you can count on. Larry Green is the man to call out there. Give him a shout at 325-575-8004. That's Jack's Road Boring in Snyder. And with that, it is time, Dan, to bring on Coach Lucas, and we've been looking forward to this conversation. It is an exciting move. It's, Lucas, his name is right up there with all the most successful small school coaches we've had in the big country. Now he's going to one of the Meccas.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun talking with him. I'm glad. I'm really thankful that he made the time to talk with us today. So let's go ahead and get him on.
And joining us now via Zoom, Hamlin Athletic Director Russell Lucas, who has just been named the head football coach and athletic director out at Sweetwater. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Coach, taking over for Sweetwater. I know you're getting a lot of attention, a lot of phone calls, a lot of texts. Walk us through the last week. What's it been like for you?
Well, we were on spring break this past week, and my interview wasn't until Friday, actually, and so it's business as usual. I was at a baseball tournament Thursday, and went to a softball game on Tuesday, and Friday morning went up, made the trip over to Sweetwater. Saturday morning, we were hosting our Piper relays, and in the middle of that track meet, the superintendent called me and offered me that job, and I accepted. And from there, it's been a whirlwind. These past 24 hours have been pretty wild. I wanted to be able to talk to my kids, to our athletes, and talk to my administration before that hit the airwaves, and so I was able to do that. Since we're all at the track meet, I was able to speak to my administration, talk to my entire coaching staff. We had a team meeting at the end of the track meet. I gathered the kids up, that all the ones that could be there. I just didn't think there was any way that we could be able to keep a lid on this till Monday. And so the kids there, and then it's today. The word got out today, and once it hit Twitter, my phone has completely blown up since about 3:00 this afternoon.
And for those that don't know kind of how the process works, I guess, can you just kind of walk us through kind of how did this come about? How did the interest both ways, and just kind of how did that come about? Okay.
Well, I've been in Hamlin now for 13 years, and there's been some years that some opportunities have arisen for me, and I've sent out a few resumes here and there, but I've only been to maybe one other interview besides this one. Just never really felt like the right time or the right move for me. either some of my kids were still in school, or I felt like we still had something to do here that we could accomplish. The run we had last year, I hated to not be with those kids in that deal. Um, and geographically, we feel tied to the big country. This is our home. My dad's still living. My mother-in-law is still alive, and they both live in Merkel. And so we've kind of geographically limited ourselves to where we would want to live in the state. And Sweetwater fit that bill. They have a great program, great history. And so when that job came open, I had a couple of friends that live in Sweetwater that just said, "Hey, we'd apply for our job," and so I did. I'm reaching the end. I say the end of my career, but I don't know how much time I have left. I'd like to think I could do it for 8 or 10 more years if I could do it. But so I went ahead and applied just to see what would happen. Just kind of flesh that out, see how it worked out, and it just seemed like a really good fit. The things that I bring seem to be what they were looking for. Things that they have would be attractive to anybody. So it just worked out that way, and we have mixed emotions. Honestly, my wife and I have mixed emotions because we are a huge part of this community in Hamlin. We feel responsible for some things that happen here, and we feel connected. We really love this community and the people here and the kids here. And so it was a really tough decision, but we are excited about this opportunity.
Coach, you mentioned the opportunity that you have at Sweetwater, and you're following two really successful coaches and you're inheriting a really healthy program. How exciting is that, just to inherit a program that's done really been through a rebuilding process, come back on the other end of it, inheriting some really nice players. Just how exciting is that?
Well, I say this all the time to you guys. Good coaches get on the buses with good athletes. And they do have. It's not like the barn's empty over there. A lot of those guys that did what they did last year are coming back on that team. So I'm very fortunate to be able to inherit some guys that can play the game. That's an exciting opportunity. When I went to Rotan and when I came here to Hamlin, they were both kind of rebuilding situations, and we kind of had to build some things. But that's not the case in Sweetwater. They've done a fantastic job. Coach McGehee has got the football program in a really good spot. And so we're excited that to be able to go in there with the kind of talent that they have right now.
Coach, I kind of thought that sooner or later you might try to take a step up to a larger program, but with all the success and all the friendships and all the relationships you've built in Hamlin, this has to be very bittersweet for you. There's gonna be a lot of people that are dear friends of yours that you're gonna miss. And how tough is this move for you?
Well, that part's been really difficult. The people. The great thing about the people that are really my friends here in Hamlin, they also understand the game of football. They understand the profession, and almost, I guess I should say, almost without exception, they've all been very gracious and understand that what an opportunity this is for me and my career, and they're disappointed. There's some people that are disappointed. I'm sure not every household in Hamlin is disappointed. There's probably a few that would be glad to see me go on down the road, but there's going to be some folks that are disappointed. I understand that, and I have some there's some emotion involved there because we are tied to so many people here, but we're just 35 miles down the road, and we have a side business that we're going to keep here in town, and we talked about coming back here to retire if and when that time comes, to be back here. So we're not going to completely abandon Hamlin. We're going to be doing Mustang Red for a while, but Hamlin could be in our future down the road.
Okay. And you mentioned kind of the nature of the profession, and 13 years is a long time to spend anywhere. So a lot of memories there, a lot of really big accomplishments with what you're able to do with that program. What maybe is the proudest? What are you most proud of in your 13 years at Hamlin?
I was here two years as an assistant in the 90s. So at my 31 years, 15 of them have been spent in Hamlin. So half of my career. So just the relationships that we've been able to build within the community, some of those through the school system with other coaches and administrators, and then obviously the kids that we've been able to coach. have been really special. You know, I've gotten lots of really deep phone calls and texts today congratulating me and reminiscing about times that we shared together. You know, when you stay this somewhere this long, you have those moments that you get to share that are really cool, playing for state championships and all those things that are just top of the mountaintop of experiences. But you know, we've also unfortunately stood around some caskets and lost some people and shared some really difficult times with each other, and that's really what bonds you to a community and to your friends. And so, you know, when you've experienced the highs and the lows with people, it really ties you to them. And so they're just a group of people here that are really special to us. And to be able to put my finger on one event that might have been more special than the rest of them would be very difficult.
Coach, years from now, when you're reflecting back on your coaching career and the subject of Hamlin comes up, what are going to be some of the favorite moments that you bring up? What are some of the stories that you're going to want to tell?
Well, I think about this all the time that my second year here at Hamlin, you know, we kind of won more games than we'd lost on the first year I was here. But my second year here, we won the first district championship since you know, in the time that I was here. And but I remember very distinctly, we were playing Haskell, and Haskell ended up, I think, playing to the quarterfinals that year. Had a really good football team, run-oriented football team, and we had a goal line stand down there right in front of our field house late in the game, and that goal line stand changed our program. I mean, our kids really began to believe that they could accomplish things, and so that moment for me was really big. You know, winning that first district championship that same year in Roscoe, winning that game, you know, setting out with a goal in mind and being able to accomplish that was a big deal. And then for our kids to have the mentality finally that it's not if we're going to be in the playoffs, it's when we get into the playoffs, and watching that transformation with our kids. And then obviously this group we had, you know, the last couple of years to play in the state championship game was that was pretty special group. But have a lot of great memories with a lot of great kids in this 13 years.
And looking forward now, I guess it's very early in this process, obviously, but what are maybe some of the short-term and long-term goals you have for the Sweetwater program now that you're going to be the head of it?
Well, that's really hard for me to even wrap my head around yet, that's going to be something that I get to be a part of. You know, obviously my first goal is just to be able to meet the kids and start building relationships with those guys and that coaching staff. Not familiar with either group, the kids or the coaching staff. And so I'm anxious to get over there. You know, we were on spring break this past week, and they're on spring break this week starting tomorrow. And so, you know, I'll have to wait another week probably to see most of those folks. So I really look forward to that. I'm anxious about getting to do that and introduce myself to the kids and the coaching staff. You know, and then just, you know, start doing what everybody wants to do, you know, just having some practices, everybody working on the terminology of how I say things and how we do things. And there'll be some similarities and there'll be some differences, and just working through those things, setting expectations. You know, and that community already has very high expectations. And so, you know, with that comes some the expectation of winning. Man, I'd rather be at a place that has high expectations than some place that just hopes they get in the playoffs or just hopes everything works out. So I'm very excited to be a part of that, and look forward to it.
Okay, Coach. Well, you practically answered our next question. We're going to ask you just about taking over a program such as Sweetwater with the storied history that they have, and they do expect success there. But it's got to be exciting for you to walk into a place like that in a tremendous facility too. Maybe one of the best facilities in all of Texas to coach a football game.
Yeah, you know, we love to play there in the playoffs. You know, I'd always tell our kids, if we can get a chance to play in the bowl, in the playoffs, we want to do it. We've been fortunate the last few times we've played in the playoffs. We were the home team, and so we got to dress in their facility and walk up over that hill and walk down those stairs onto the field, and you know, some of their eyes and the fans see them and the noise and everything. To get to experience that on a you know, several times a year is going to be really cool. I'm really looking forward to get to coach in the bowl. But they've had a lot of success here in the recent past, but they've had the success for a long time. They're just a few wins shy of having 700 wins as a program. That's unbelievable. There's less than 20 schools in the state of Texas that have reached that status. There's been some unbelievable coaches that have passed through there, and a lot of those guys have Hamlin ties. W.T. Stapler is a Hamlin boy, graduated from Hamlin, won their state championship, was over there for that run. Art Browse and Steve Freeman both were assistant coaches, Coach Stapler during that time, and they both ended up being head coaches in Hamlin for a while. And so, it's just unbelievable that I've been chosen to. They've trusted me enough to let me be a part of that program, and I'm super excited about that opportunity.
Coach, if at any point in the last 13 years you'd have been caught wearing red, you might have been run out of town. And I did notice you made the distinction. This is Sweetwater red. So what's it going to be like to trade your green gear for red gear for the next few years?
Yeah, I had a couple of kids tell me I may come to the game and wear red, Coach, but you can bet it's not Albany red and it's not Anson red. It'll be Sweetwater red. So yeah, that's a true statement. I love Coach Hagler and Coach Faith over there, great guys, but that has been something that we have avoided around here is wearing the color red. So it'll be a transition. I'm probably going to have there's going to be a lot of whatever coach comes in is going to find a big pile of green stuff on their desk because I won't be able to use that. And then I'll have a yard sale with a lot of green stuff in it as well, I'm sure, or give away something. But I'm going to have an empty closet because 13 years, you accumulate a lot of green T-shirts.
Coach, one of the things that, actually a couple of things that helped you build your program at Hamlin was a devotion to building as fast a football team as you could via track. You really put a lot of emphasis in your track and field program, and you wanted to have as good a passing game as you possibly could. I guess you're taking both philosophies with you to Sweetwater. And one advantage is Sweetwater's been throwing the ball anyway.
Yeah, and they have a pretty good trigger guy. I haven't met Leo Holsey yet, but I look forward to getting to meet him. He's obviously a very talented young man, and there's some guys around him that can protect him that'll be coming back, and there's some receivers and running backs there that allow him to be able to do that. And so I'm really looking forward to that. We are I'm not going to change my offensive philosophy, and that's good because looks like it's going to be similar to what they were already doing over there. I'm sure there may be some terminology things, but we'll be able to work through that. But I just feel like we're in a day and a time that we need to try to make teams defend the entire field. We've done that here the last few years, and I think the stats and the video would prove that we can do that pretty effectively. And I feel confident that they're going to have those kind of athletes that we'll be able to people are going to have to defend the entire field, and it won't be just one guy that can get it done. There'll be multiple people. I would assume that we'll be able to find that could be willing to touch the ball and run the ball and protect the quarterback. And obviously the thing that I think we've gotten so much better at around here, and that we've always, and I alluded to it a minute ago, our defense. We've always had a defensive mindset around here, and that's where the speed factor comes in even more so. I feel like that's even more important defensively than it is offensively, that we're going to find the 11 fastest, meanest guys in Sweetwater, Texas to put on the field. And, if they happen to have some size to them and they fit that bill, then they can find a place on defense. But we're going to find guys that can run and hit. And I, this is West Texas. I promise you, they got guys over there that fit that description that are going to be mean and fast and good tacklers. So I'm super excited about that.
You did a really good job of encouraging your players in Hamlin of participating in track and field. I guess that's going to be an emphasis at Sweetwater also. Yeah,
I mean, I tell kids all the time. I've yet to hear a coach say, "Son, you can't play for me. You're too strong or you're too fast." That just doesn't happen. And, the only way I know to get stronger is to lift weights. The only way I know to get faster is to run fast. And plus, it's an opportunity. Track and field is an opportunity to compete. It demonstrates toughness. It demonstrates a lot of things. And so, if you're going to be carrying the ball on Friday night, but you're not willing to run the 200 at a track meet, then I'm not sure you want to be carrying the ball. I mean, I want you desiring to go compete and to get better. And if that's what the coaches expect of you, then that's what I would expect us to try to do. So, it'll be highly encouraged.
And obviously in this state, and in particularly in Sweetwater, Texas, football is a very big deal. But as the athletic director, kind of what is your overall athletic program philosophy, and kind of just what do you envision for that?
Well, visiting with Dr. Howard when I interviewed over there, one of the things that was so attractive to me was his vision for the entire school district. I've said this for years, and other people, it's not my saying, I've heard other people say it, that, sports is the front porch to your school district. A lot of people, when they hear the word Hamlin, they think about our football team and Piper Stadium or whatever. And when they think about Sweetwater, they think about the bowl and winning 700 football games and those kind of things. But really those same kids, it's really important, because very few of those kids are going to make a career out of sports. Their education is so important, and the other things that they're involved in besides football, the basketball team, the softball team, the volleyball team, the soccer team, whoever it is over there, we want to do everything in our power to give our kids in our school district a chance to be successful. And Sweetwater is no different than Hamlin. If we're going to be successful at it, then our good kids need to be a part of it. And if we've got football players that can help the basketball program, I would expect them to be on the basketball team. And if we've got football players that can help the baseball team, I expect them to be on the baseball team, and vice versa. And same thing on the girls' side. If we've got volleyball players that can be great basketball players, I would expect them to try to do both. And for our coaches to find a way to get that done, that's probably a small school mindset that I'm going to bring there. And I'm not saying that they don't already have that. I haven't met those coaches yet, but I just know that that the vision over there about our school, about the school district in Sweetwater, that all of our kids have an opportunity to be successful. They have the intentionality over there to make that something that's a reality, that our kids have an opportunity to be successful. So I'm excited about the vision they have over there. And then not just for the football. Yes, I'm going to be the football coach, but I'm also, for the first time in my career, I won't have any responsibility in the classroom. I'll be able to focus all my attention on the athletic program and those kids and those coaches, and be able to serve those guys and gals and find ways to them be successful. So I'm excited about that aspect of my job as well, because it's just difficult sometimes to do all those things. I don't have as many responsibilities here because we don't play that many sports in Hamlin. I have about 6 coaches I'm taking care of and about 75 or 100 athletes, which is going to be a lot more than that over there. So there'll be some challenges, but I'm excited about it, about coaching football there. But I'm also excited about watching those other programs grow and what opportunities we're going to give those kids.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, we'll be in close contact with you at Sweetwater, keeping an eye on you. Best of luck to you, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And that was Hamlin Athletic Director Russell Lucas, who is now heading, of course, to Sweetwater. He's been one of our favorite guys to work with for years, Dan. I'm happy for him. It's a nice step up for him. What a tremendous job he did there at Hamlin.
Yeah, no question. A great coach, a great guy. And I think he may be challenging Coach Cervetto over at Dublin for our most frequent podcast guest at this point. But this one was obviously timely. This was news that I think that wasn't necessarily surprising, but still an enormous story that when you got a guy of his caliber going to a program like Sweetwater, just to me, this looks like a match made in heaven. It's going to be a really fun deal to follow the next several years. I expect that program to have a lot of success under him, and I expect Sweetwater fans to quickly become big fans of Coach Lucas and what he brings to the field and to the program as a whole.
And this is about wrap things up for the Capital Farm Credit Wednesday night podcast. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we have 3 separate subscription packages at BigCountryPreps.com. We have a monthly for $5 a month. We have a semi-annual where we knock that price down for a 6-month subscription to $4 a month. And we have an annual $3 a month, 12 months annual subscription, $36 for a full year of Big Country high school athletic coverage.
And we'd also like to remind you, if you see a photo you like in any one of our galleries, it is available for just $7. You can click on that small shopping cart icon to the bottom right, follow that prompt, and purchase as many of those as you would like. But if you scroll down the site, you'll probably notice that we take a lot of photos. That's something we really enjoy doing, and something we're very proud of here at bigcountrypreps.com.
All big country, all high school, all the time. Welcome home.